Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining us. Today we're back with dark romantasy author and motion graphics designer Jacob von Tobel. Hey, Jacob, welcome back.
Great to be here. How you doing?
I'm good. How about you?
I'm doing pretty well myself.
Great. It's great to have you back. And today I want to discuss motion graphics design with you. So let's talk a little bit about branding. How has your experience in motion graphics and design helped you create a unique, recognizable visual identity for your author brand? And what specific elements should an author focus on to make their brand stand out?
Right. So when it comes to just branding in general, the motion graphics background helps because sort of motion graphics backs up into design, which backs up into video editing. It's sort of a catch-all of just like creative processes. So if you can educate yourself in motion graphics design, inevitably you're going to touch Photoshop, you're going to touch Premiere Pro, you're going to touch After Effects. You're going to, figure out sort of what colors work with what says that. So it's really interesting to have that tool and go at it because really educating yourself in this discipline gives you tools that other authors don't have. I
Mm,
build all of my own graphics. I source all of my own elements. I cut all of my own videos. Is it a lot of work? Yes, it is. However, that is money you're not spending on a video editor, money not spending on a designer or something like that. And
mm,
a little bit of effort in graphics can really help you stand out because guess what? There's a lot of authors and a lot of authors trying to create a brand specifically when you're trying to focus on creating a brand and want to make it stand out, ask yourself what makes it you. So I'll take myself for an example. If you pop over to my Instagram account at jvontobelwrites, you'll see that it's dark romantasy I write. So basically what I'm trying to say is that it's a little scary, it's a little grim, but it is still romance. So how do I do that? Well, you'll look at my design and I do a lot of slate grays, a lot of sort of darker colors. There are sort of almost creepy sort of floral prints on the edges of all of my designs. That's specifically to give it a look of elegance, but also a look of like foreboding. It's almost like walking into a haunted mansion.
mm.
But then in terms of the color palette, yes, I have a lot of black and white, but then the one accent color is literally called romance red. I opened up, I just looked at what's all the sort of colors of red out there, and I saw, boom, that's the one. And that's what it's called. And I went with it. So I took all of those elements and I said, this is the visual brand. This is what I want. And it can take some time. I've been working as a motion designer. I have been in marketing and advertising for like 7 or 8 years now, and I think about this every single day. So I picked it up quick, but that doesn't mean it is something you should figure out quickly. You can even go as far as to do some research, see what other people are doing. That's another huge thing. You don't want to go stealing someone's brand, that doesn't look very good. But at the same time, kind of see like, oh, these are sort of the common elements of like what author branding looks like. This is what just branding in general sort of looks like. So
Well, it's a fantastic help, especially for branding, but also marketing. And on the marketing note, in what ways could an author leverage motion graphics to enhance their book trailers, such as, videos and social media content and promotional materials as well, to, engage the potential reader and increase their visibility?
yeah, so it's incredibly helpful because guess what? Book trailers, social media content, promotional material, people like video. The
Mm.
algorithms like video. So if it moves, immediately you're going to get a kick from that. One thing to note is that, yeah, motion design will help you make book trailers and videos and all of this. They also take a lot of effort. Despite the fact that I'm a video editing professional, despite the fact that I am a motion graphics professional, I don't do book trailers. And that's not because they're not effective. I've heard great things about book trailers. I just personally don't have the time to do it. It's an incredibly work-intensive effort. With that said, if you do have the time, it's a really great thing to think about. Also, there are services to help you out with it. Specifically, I think it really helps with social media content and promotional marketing materials. The reason why I say that is if you look at the landscape for sort of authors marketing themselves right now, it's Instagram Reels, it's TikTok, it's video in general. Like again, the trend towards video has just been intense for the last 10 years or so, and it's only intensifying as the days go by.
Mm.
But just being able to create a real, even if it's something as simple as like an atmospheric effect in the background or just like a little motion. Guess that's a little engaging, to just animate text on
Mhm.
a little bit or just have something moving. You don't need to be recreating a movie here. I think that's one of the big takeaways. Again, if you sort of look into motion graphics as a discipline, it gives you a skill set that lets you sort of just create content that's just a mark above. You won't be um you won't be reinventing the wheel here. But in a game of inches, which is what this is, where you're just trying to slightly stand above, stand out in your genre, it's just like giving your content just a little kick of motion really helps out a lot.
Right, it gives you that higher level. And in regard to storytelling, how could an author integrate motion graphics into their storytelling process to create, an immersive multimedia experience that completes their written work, such as an animated book or covers or interactive ebooks?
Mhm. So this is difficult, and I think it depends on what your publishing route is. So, for instance, if you are in a small press or trad pub, sort of the same thing, your book covers are kind of out of your hands. So, animated book covers, it's out of your control. That's not something you can really play around with. And even then, if you're like, hey, can I do this with the cover? In my experience, generally when the company creates the cover, they batten down the hatches on it. It's their property, it's their creation, so they're not going to want you to touch it. However,
Mm.
if you are self-published, if you own that cover, if it's your book and you own every single piece of it, that could be a really fun way to sort of play around with it. And guess what? It just links right back into social media marketing and promotional content. Because guess what? That book cover, it's about the size of a reel. It is 16 by 9, or sorry, 9 by 16.
Right.
Translates like just take the title off and have a slight moving background. I don't know the specifics of it, but there are many videos out there about how to take a still image and make it move. I think it links back. I'm not sure it will help your storytelling necessarily. It's really entirely on the entirely on the promotional end of things. Interactive ebooks is an interesting concept. I honestly had not thought about that until just now, but there has to be something there.
Yeah, and overall, with your experience, how could you say that an author could use motion and graphics to break down and simplify intricate concepts or plot lines in their stories to make them more accessible to a broader audience and retain their depth and impact at the same time?
Right. So when I think about this, the thing that comes to mind for me is just the creative process in general. I will stipulate making a video is not the same as writing a book, is not the same as making a movie, is not the same as, any other creative endeavor. They're all very different. But with that said, one of the most important principles of motion graphics is where is the eye? Where is your
Mm,
viewer looking right now? And that's why motion, and again, design does that too. They do it with color, brightness, sort of scalability of elements. Does the eye flow down this design? Motion does it through, again, whatever's moving, generally they will pay attention to. We like motion, we want to pay attention to it, changing colors. And ask yourself when you're writing, where's your reader's eye? What are they paying attention to? And if you're going to be a writer in the year 2024 going onward, you have to be creative. You have to be able to lean into things. Technically, you can still write a book and not, do any marketing, not do any promotional stuff. You can hire agencies and professionals to do it all for you. You can get people to manage your social media at great expense, but it's difficult. And again, there's just a lot of guardrails there, and it's never going to break through quite as much as if you're the one doing it. People are interested in stories, but they're also interested in other people.
mm,
Whenever an author really blows up and a story gets very popular, sure, people are excited about the story, but then what's the next thing? They want to know more about the person who wrote
author.
it. They don't, necessarily, it isn't just that the books can be distributed everywhere. Can I go see this author in person? Are they going to be, and if they're really big time, are they touring anywhere? To a lesser extent, obviously, book tours are only really reserved for the people who are really in that sort of upper atmosphere of writers.
Mhm.
Um, but even then, like, social media has really allowed people to get to know sort of the creators that they like, for better and worse. But when people buy into your book or your idea or your story that you're pitching, uh, they want to buy into you too. It's very rare that, it's just like one screen, one ad, and boom, they're like, okay, I'm here. I pre-ordered, I'm ready. Um, you have to be creative. You have to be willing to lean into that creative process. But I think, is just think about that idea of like, where is your reader looking? When it's on the page, ask what story elements are important. What actually do you want them to pay attention to? And sort of craft around that. When it comes to social media, what are they looking at? Am I looking at my designs? Are they working correctly? It's that creative focus and that through line of controlling your message specifically.
Well, Jacob, thank you so much. That was wonderful insight on motion graphics design.
Great, glad I could help.
That's all the time we have for today. Thank you, everyone, for tuning into today's interview with dark romantasy author and motion graphics designer Jacob von Tobel. Be sure to check out our website for more videos. Wishing you all a fulfilling and successful writing journey.